CBS 17 News, tracking coronavirus.
Profits literally going down the drain. New at 11, what local farmers are doing to survive the economic shutdown.
The outdoor spaces in Raleigh are second to none.
We've all been cooped up way too long. New at 11, how people are taking advantage of the weather and still practicing social distancing.
Hey, Gillian, we hear it's your fifth birthday. Have a fun day, bud.
And it may be the best birthday memory ever, how police officers made this boy's day.
And after 2 mornings starting off in the 30s, we will not have that tomorrow morning, but we will have some rain. Good evening, and we're so glad you're here with us on CBS 17. Live from my living room, I'm Wes Hohenstein. So it's not going to be a washout this weekend, but one of our best rain chances is coming Saturday morning. So small chances early on. Most of it comes in the middle part of the morning, but our temperature is going to be 20 degrees warmer than where we started this morning. Again, 8, 9, 10 a.m. our best chances of rain, but by lunchtime, the rain's moving out. So will the clouds. Our temperatures climb into the 60s. There's also another bout of wind and severe weather we've got to talk about. I'll lay out your whole weekend for you coming up in just a few minutes.
CBS 17 News, tracking coronavirus.
Governor Roy Cooper declared a state of emergency because of the coronavirus more than a month ago. And now we are in the third week of that statewide stay-at-home order.
Tonight, the question on everyone's mind is when will the governor reopen the economy so things can start to get back to normal?
And we want to get to the process of easing restrictions and beginning to open more of our economy in North Carolina. We know we need to do that. We're aiming toward doing that right now.
The governor says he's watching 3 things: testing, tracing, and trends to determine how and when to reopen businesses.
And while a number of people getting tested in North Carolina is up 88% in the last 2 weeks, Governor Cooper says we're still waiting for supplies to make widespread testing possible. One of the areas needing those tests is nursing homes and living centers. CBS 17's Amy Cutler is digging deeper tonight to show us how those facilities are coping. Amy.
Yeah, Marius and Angela, it is a real challenge. They've got a lot of people in close proximity, many with compromised immune systems. Tonight, we're learning more about a resident that was at this facility and died from complications of COVID-19.
It kind of took a toll.
Ryan Benson is heartbroken over the loss of his mother, 72-year-old Virginia Wilcox, or as she was better known, Jenny.
Outgoing, loving. She loved telling jokes. She loved being around people.
Wilcox had some health problems and lived at Wellington Rehabilitation and Healthcare in Knightdale for the last 3 years. Last Thursday, he got the call.
They were sending my mom up to the hospital because she was running a fever and was getting sick to her stomach.
Benson says she was diagnosed with a staph infection and later tested positive for COVID-19. The antibiotics didn't work. Her condition kept getting worse. Since he couldn't visit, the doctors and nurses at Wake Med set up a FaceTime call Tuesday evening.
It was great to see my mom before, the next day.
Wednesday morning, the 72-year-old died.
It was the COVID that had made all the other underlying symptoms worse, harder to control or take care of.
Wilcox, one of 3 people in Wake County to die from COVID-19. The county health department confirming Wellington and Sunnybrook Rehabilitation Center in Raleigh both have outbreaks.
Whenever there is an outbreak in our congregate care facilities, that we can go and test all the people there and to test staff.
That is being done, but the governor admits they still don't have enough test kits and personal protective equipment.
As for Benson, he tells me his mother will be cremated. They'll hold off on a memorial service for a few months because they have a big family and they want her family and friends to be able to get together to honor her life. Live in Knightdale, Amy Cutler, CBS 17.
Amy, thank you. Tonight, we know more than 250 inmates at the Noose Correctional Institution in Goldsboro have COVID-19. None of those infected are in the hospital, and 98% are not showing any symptoms.
Prison officials secured and accomplished testing all 700 offenders at the facility, as well as providing access to tests to staff who wish to be tested.
Hook says the Department of Public Services is now moving workers around to get additional medical and security personnel at the Noose campus. And while the White House has put out guidelines for reopening those so-called non-essential businesses, it's still up for our local leaders to make the final call. And tonight, some businesses are worried that that won't happen soon enough. Once the first phase starts, gyms can reopen as long as they practice social distancing. CrossFit Durham says it's prepared to implement social distancing requirements, which might include only allowing certain members in at a time. The first 3 phases of the guidelines don't include barbershops or salons. One barber tells CBS 17 this is a very difficult time for his business because he's not bringing in any revenue.
I'm optimistic that, things will turn around, but when that turnaround comes, we just don't know.
I see this as something that's going to drag out and going to be a problem longer term for us.
New tonight, Durham Mayor Steve Schrull went ahead and added on to the city's stay-at-home order. Starting Monday, anyone out in public must wear a mask or face covering. He says this will happen sometime next week.
North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis is on the president's bipartisan economic task force to reopen the economy. And when it comes to restarting the economy here in North Carolina, the senator says a one-size-fits-all approach will not work.
It's a big state with 10 million people, and it's going to take time to get fully open.
Now, the White House says the economy should reopen in phases, but to do that, each state needs to have sufficient testing. And as we've heard Governor Cooper say, North Carolina still needs more collection kits and PPEs for those in the field conducting COVID-19 testing.
Farmers dumping product like this milk to try and stay afloat. It doesn't sound right, but that is what's happening on farms across North Carolina and the country. New at 11, CBS 17's Mackenzie Stasko is getting answers about how the pandemic and stay-at-home orders are impacting local farmers.
Chris Bowman runs Homeland Creamery in Guilford County.
Our business here at Homeland Creamery has been impacted about a 65% decrease in total milk sales.
Before the pandemic, he supplied to restaurants and coffee shops, but with businesses now closed and no one to buy milk in bulk, farmers like Bowman have no choice but to dump it.
It was a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach.
It's a heartbreaking routine he does 4 times a week, driving his tractor half a mile down the road, pulling a tank full of perfectly good milk and pouring it all out. Since the pandemic started, Bowman tells me he's had to dump at least 17,000 gallons of fresh milk right here in this pasture. If you take a look, you can see the difference between the grass, and it even smells a little bit like spoiled milk.
My profit, that's what I smell. I would say it would probably be about $160,000 if you had to put a dollar figure on it.
Bowman says he's working to supply discounted milk to local food pantries, but the logistics are challenging. In the meantime, to keep business afloat, he's opened up this drive-through, selling small quantities of milk and scoops of homemade ice cream.
I think it's great to have all the people come out because I know they've been struggling.
This is a local industry and we can't have it just evaporate.
While the future is uncertain, some relief is on the way. The USDA is planning to buy crops and dairy from farmers who are suffering. Bowman tells me he's hopeful he'll be on that list. In Guilford County, Mackenzie Stasko, CBS 17 News.
Oh, look at that. All right. Residents and property owners getting to go back to the beach in some areas like Emerald Isle and Atlantic Beach, but the rest of us have to wait. And Governor Cooper says he understands that the urge to get out and socialize is strong, but social distancing is just too important right now.
Please remember that every day you stay at home and practice social distancing is another day saving lives and getting us closer to reopening more of our economy.
Wake County is easing some restrictions when it comes to things like religious services. But again, the governor says social distancing and self-quarantining is the best option for now.
I miss going to my church. I also care deeply about my congregation. I think it's irresponsible for some politicians to use faith to lure people into endangering themselves, their families.
And from going to church to running everyday errands, how we do things is a lot different now than it was just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, especially Friday nights and weekends. CBS 17's Bridget Chapman joins us live in Raleigh after finding out how people are finding ways to enjoy the start of the weekend. Hey, Bridget.
Hey there, Angela and Marius. Yeah, people can't go to restaurants, bars, concerts, all of those things people like to do typically on the weekends, but I found out how they're still enjoying what our city has to offer.
Yay!
Games, kites, picnics. You could see them all sprinkled across Raleigh's largest city park Friday. Some there at Dorothea Dix to celebrate.
It's my wife's birthday, so we wanted to do something like with a little sense of normalcy. You know, we have a little socially distanced social going on.
Yeah, there.
Others were reconnecting with old hobbies.
When was the last time before this you flew a kite?
My goodness, when I was probably like 8 years old. It's nostalgic for sure, you know, so it brings back good memories.
For the most part, groups could be seen practicing social distancing.
I saw this and I knew.
Kevin Yanuszewski even wore a shirt requesting it.
I do think it's really important that people are respectful of you know, what's needed to keep the pandemic in check, but it's about finding that balance.
Park goers said there's a need right now for fresh air, sunshine, and a sense of community. Across town, others kicked off the weekend with a sweet treat.
Getting ice cream, just getting out of the house.
Markers and pre-packed cups kept customers socially distanced at fresh local ice cream.
You can't eliminate all contact, so they're doing a good job.
Although a tweaked version of normalcy, North Carolinians say it's been eye-opening.
What I've really taken away from this experience is how nice it is to be outside, how nice it is to do like the simple things.
Gotta enjoy the simple things right now. And the city says its parks department is constantly reviewing and assessing everything they're doing when it comes to social distancing at the parks. Live in Raleigh, Bridget Chapman, CBS 17 News.
People were keeping a good distance there, so glad to see them out and about. The coronavirus forced high schools and universities to cancel, even postpone graduation ceremonies. So here at CBS 17, we're working to honor the class of 2020. This is Logan Kennedy from Holly Springs High School. Congratulations to Logan and the entire class at Holly Springs High. You can see a slideshow of all this year's graduates at cbs17.com/2020. And if you haven't sent in your picture, you can do it right now.
The stay-at-home order has most of us staying at home and our cars parked in the garage instead of out on the streets. Coming up at 11, how much are you saving on car insurance?
And after 2 perfect weather days in a row, you know it'd be pretty hard to pull off a third. And this rain in Tennessee will make the third day tomorrow not perfect. I'll time out the rain for you, how it'll impact your weekend. And we're going to have a snow conversation about snow in North Carolina and Nebraska, all coming up in your forecast.
This is so cool. A birthday surprise that one family won't ever forget.